Hello, so I'm making this video for Cachexia to um, talk about how I think the mechanic is going to play out. Most of the stuff is actually there on this scuffed clip, which is quite nice, but there's a couple of things that are just, there's no way for us to know, or at least the way I looked at it, there's no way to know. So any suggestions or comments is open here. So we're going to start here, and we're just going to immediately see the following. If you look at the party frames, there are two debuffs that everyone has. One is this one on the left that everybody has, and their timer is different. This is, you can see when people put times in here. All of them are variable, and we'll see explosions go off at different times. This explosion is just going to do like moderate damage to a person and anyone in the area, and apply dark and fizz foam. This basically is don't get hit, like be spread out enough so that you don't hit other people with your AoE. The second debuff, as you can see, and so this is, first of all, the first debuff is called Theronecrosis. The second debuff is Glossal Resistance Down, which is one of the big things to pay attention to. Half the raid, I assume, since there's 2 people dead and we have 3 and 3, half the raid is going to have this green one, with this Chelic Resistance Down, and half the raid is going to have this purple one, which is Glossal Resistance Down. This will matter when the boss casts Dual Perdition, but we will get to that in just a moment. We'll allow people to see some of these mechanics.
Time.
So Serathi is the first person that has the explosion go off. We can see that he's sitting at 32k HP right now.
I'm not gonna remember. Like.
And we see he takes roughly 20k damage. You saw the AoE that happened. Actually, we'll go back a little bit. Right here, this is the AoE of the spell that's going off. Our markers are kind of bait. If we're standing at the markers, we can see right here, if I were to stand in the middle of D, I'd get hit by this and by nature die. And we can see Serathio is pretty vigilant standing on his marker. So our markers, if we're using them to spread, we probably should have our markers right here instead for these. We can alternatively just stand at this spot and have markers right here for the mechanic where we're finding the safe tile, but that's kind of for a different thing. Going to here, we see right here, my timer goes off. I die because I take 20k damage. I had like 17k. It's just hard to recover with healers dead and people kind of suffering. Zayla died because he died to an auto attack, not because of the mechanic. But we can see right here that the boss is casting Dual Predation. We will see in just a second. I believe Alidra and Kiana clip each other here. It's very hard to tell if this actually happened or not because of the circles, but if you look in the log for deaths, we can see death log for Kiana. He gets hit for what we expect to be here for the normal damage, and then he just gets obliterated by a second one. Anyways, going back to this. Right here is a couple things. So we just see people just get fucking deleted off the map. The thing that makes me confident in a way that this is handled, first of all, we can see this green pillar come up on here, on Yeri, or Serathia. And we see that Yeri gains plus Chelic resistance down here. And so this mechanic is the thing that we had, if we look at it earlier, this is Chelic resistance down, so I assume if someone has Chelic resistance down, they would get fucking wrecked. And you can see Serathia has Chelic resistance down, and if you look at the death log, we can see that Serathia does in fact get beat up by this ability. This is like 6 million damage or something. Plus 199% damage. Just a real big number. Meanwhile, if we go to Yeri, we can see that the damage that she took is very manageable. It's 35k hit. If we look at Nomura, we see that Nemuro takes a substantial amount of damage, not livable damage, from colossal predation. And if we were to look in the video, you can see that Nemuro has the colossal resistance down debuff at the beginning. The main thing that I don't understand how this works is I don't see some easy image
I took
on
a lot of
what
damage.
is going on here and how Nemuro is taking colossal or predation here. I have a few assumptions. One, this can function like a lot of mechanic we've seen, in that it's proximity based. It's maybe threat tank based. Like I know Ieda Sheila, the Akmorns, were dependent on who had first and second threat to determine who got which color debuff. We can see here Zayla has the green debuff and Nemuro has the purple debuff. So maybe there's a thing with that where you look which debuff you have with whatever tank and you stack up. It is a bit off because we don't see clear light parties, but we also don't see all the healers alive, so it's kind of whatever.
Type it out.
Those are the two, in my opinion, obvious ways to do it. There is also the option that just like her left and her right do certain ones. Because
A lot of damage from that.
as you can see right here, she stabs the thing into the ground on her left side, and the left side has this. And Nemuro, I think, was screenshotted or snapshotted on the right side. He's on the right side right here. Maybe that's what happens. I'm not entirely sure. But I do think the first debuff, how to handle that, and the concept behind the second debuff and how to handle that is pretty clear. And so hopefully this gives us some information for a plan to set up for Monday's raid so that we can get by this mechanic. I'm definitely of the opinion that this is going to be similar to the first boss, where if we're able to get this part of the fight down quickly and consistently, the rest of the fight should just kind of naturally happen. I'm kind of shocked that we have LB3 already at this point, so I don't know what that's going to signify, but we'll see what's going on with that. Anyways, there will be a lot more posted in the Discord about things in the fight, clarifications, and whatnot.